Hello. We are going to talk about the phenomena that we'll be looking at for this unit. In this particular unit, the phenomena that we're going to look at are CO2 fluctuations um, that happen throughout the year. So let me get a little bit more specific. So I have to set up the story and talk about the story first. The image that you're seeing up on the screen is Mauna Loa Observatory. So this is on the Big Island of Hawaii. It's a scientific research station that has been up there for quite a while, over 60 years. And they take measurements on all types of things. They take measurements on the volcano, Mauna Loa volcano, which makes up the Big Island of Hawaii. Um, but there's also been studies and data collected about the atmosphere. And back in 1958, a man named Charles David Keeling started to collect information about the atmosphere. So they were starting to research what gases make up the atmosphere and what happens to those gases. This was the early work looking into that. And he simply recorded on a regular basis what the CO2 concentration in the atmosphere was. So how many parts per million CO2 there was in the atmosphere. Started it in 1958, and it's actually been taken uh, every year, and really every day, since then, up on Mauna Loa Observatory. So let me show you the graph that came out of that research and is still being collected. All right, so here is that graph. Atmospheric carbon dioxide measured at Mauna Loa, Hawaii. And you see a couple things here. Let me get something to draw on. Along the bottom, down here, we see the dates, right? So 1960, 1970, 80, 90s, 2000s, and beyond. This one goes up to 2010. But again, this is still research that's being conducted and data that's being collected. And what we see is that from the late 50s up until present time, this graph has just continued to rise. And over here, this is the carbon dioxide concentration, parts per million, ppm, parts per million. So when this data was originally collected, we were down right around 300 parts per million. And in the intervening time, in the last 50 to 60 years, we have now actually gone over 400 parts per million, a steady increase. But the actual phenomena that I want to look at is right here. And this is taking a closer look at the cycle on a 1-year basis. You can see January down here, April, July, October, back to January. So this is showing a 1-year cycle. And the phenomena that we're going to look at is why this parts per million of carbon dioxide goes up. And once it gets to about, starts getting to summer, then it goes down. And then as it goes back into winter, it starts going back up again. So there's this yearly flux where it goes up and down. Over the 60 years, we see it's just continued to rise. That's a story for another time. So this annual cycle, why does carbon dioxide go up and down throughout the course of the year? Now let's look at another image. So in examining this carbon dioxide and examining the atmosphere, what we want to also think about is, has the atmosphere always been the same? Is this picture of the early atmosphere accurate? I mean, it's an artist's representation, but did the atmosphere look different? Was it different colors back in the early Earth? Um, was the Earth significantly different when it was formed than it is today? Was the atmosphere significantly different than it is today? Has it changed constantly over time? These are some of the things that we're going to look at and learn about, and specifically through CO2 and O2, which is oxygen. So when we talk about Earth's history, there's a whole huge timeline that goes back 4.5 billion years. And so we want to know what may have happened during that time to get us to where we are today, to get us the atmosphere and the carbon dioxide levels that we see today. And what may have been different throughout this timeline, what may have been different 2 billion years ago or 3 billion years ago that has affected what things are like in the or on the earth that we live right now. All right.
All right, now you should have some information in this final text box right here, and you are done with this assignment. So how do you submit this to me? You go up to the share button right here, and you click on that, and you will copy the link here. So copy that link, and then you go back to your Canvas page by going up here, and you can click on your Canvas page. And you'll go to your Submit button. And over here, you should be able to copy a URL, and you just put that page in there that you copied, and you push Control V. That means paste, Control V, and then you push the Submit button, and it is submitted for grading. If you have any problems, please contact me, your science teacher.